Welcome to the DJ the Money Coach Expert Interview Series. I'm Nick, joined as always by the founder of the 7 Spheres of Money, DJ the Money Coach. Welcome, DJ.
Hey, Nick, how you doing, man? It's a great night, and we got a special guest on, a professional coach, former #1 draft pick in the MLB, and a really good friend of mine that taught me a lot about baseball, but also taught me a lot about life and friendship all together. But if you don't know who I am, DJ the Money Coach, let me tell you a quick backstory about me. I came out of college with over $40,000 worth of consumable debt. I had a 525 credit score, and I was turned down for my first mortgage and my first small business loan. And what I ended up doing is I read a book called The Road to Wealth. Read one chapter in the book, Nick, and that chapter taught me about credit. And once I read that chapter, I did 2 things that are dirty words. I had accountability and discipline. Within 12 months, I took my credit score to 700 or 720. But then 24 months, I took my credit score to 800 and above. And if you can see this, Nick, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
That's an 805 credit score. My credit score has never been lower than 805, 15 years straight. And in 2002, Nick, I became consumer debt free. I erased all of that debt, and I didn't play the victim. I played the victorious one. And then in 2008, I became financially independent with a 6-figure income. And I started teaching people for the last 20 years how to become consumer debt free and become financially independent in the United States of America. And that's my claim to fame. And I want you to have a pom-pom lifestyle and plenty of money and peace of mind. But now I want to introduce my guy, who is a world-class baseball coach. I think he is the best at his craft. And most importantly, he's doing it in our community with people who look just like us. And this guy was a 3-star sports guy in high school, professional athlete, trained some guys who you're familiar with in the MLB, and taught both of my sons how to play baseball fundamentally sound when people just think we're athletes. But he taught us how to play baseball like chess. So without further ado, my good friend, Coach Willie Ansley. Willie, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for that great introduction, man. I appreciate everything, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Hey, man, thank you for coming on the show. So, Willie, man, hey, let's start right from how you got started in sports, because you were a 3-star sports player coming up in high school, kind of like a Bo Jackson type. So let us find out a little bit about you and then speed us up to the present day.
Well, I started playing sports just on the playground. When I was younger, during the summers, that was a thing to do from a small town. So, we played baseball in the morning, football in the afternoon, basketball in the evening. So it was natural for me to end up playing all 3 sports. I got into baseball actually just by coincidence. My friends were playing t-ball, and I'd be playing with them, and then it was time for them to go to practice, and I'd go to practice with them and sit there and watch. And after about 2 weeks, the coach said, "Hey, man, you come to practice every day. You might as well play on the team." So, I grew up in a single-parent household. So, asking can my mom pay for me to play baseball wasn't the easiest thing to do. Although back then it wasn't that much money. I think it was like $12 to play baseball back then. So she let me play, and then I started playing baseball. And, I didn't really fall in love with it then because I already loved playing sports by growing up in the neighborhood. So just started playing baseball there, and grew up playing all the sports and got to high school and started on football, basketball, and baseball for 4 years in all 3 sports. Blessed to do well in those and end up getting a football scholarship to Oklahoma University as a free safety, and I signed to go there. And then later that year, I got drafted by the Houston Astros in the 1st round, the 7th pick overall. And actually, I was packing up to go to school before I signed to go play with the Astros, and signed and went into their system and played 5.5 years in the system. First year, I had a really good year, ended up being the minor league player of the year for them, and the South Atlantic League, which I was in, ended up being the most outstanding major league prospect in the league that consisted of Ivan Rodriguez, Rob
Wow.
Mann, lot of great players came out of that league that year. So I was blessed to do that. And then halfway through the year, that year I got moved up to AA. Kind of shot up quick and did so, had hit about 250 there, and spent the next couple years in AA. And then, like a lot of athletes, started getting the injury bug. Knees started bothering me, and then ended up at a young age having back surgery.
Oh, wow.
Came back from that and had a pretty good year, and then, got released and went and played in Mexico a little bit. And while I was down there, I just made a decision that, I didn't want to be 35 still playing baseball and down in Mexico. And so I decided to give it up and try to get back into the real world.
Wow, man, that's something else. So what year were you the #1 draft pick for the Astros, and what year was it that you hurt your back and you realized that you weren't going to be able to pursue your professional dream to be a long-term MLB player?
I got drafted in '88. I was the #1 pick in '88. And then I had my back surgery, I believe it was 92. I think it was 91, 92, somewhere in there. I ended up having the back surgery. Sat out, came back, was in AAA in '94, and was in Major League camp, big league camp. I was on a 40-man roster, and so I thought I was kind of getting back into it, and had a pretty good year for just coming off injury at the AAA level. And at the time, you go through that, you think you're very close to making the big leagues, and then, of course, like they show in the movie, you get that pink slip in your locker doing spring training, and then you got to try to figure out what you're going to do.
Hey, did you have a backup plan, a second and third plan, or did you have all your future based on you being a professional MLB or football star that you planned financially to intercept the challenge that happened to you? Because I think this happens very frequently in our community versus what we see on television. Because I think you're a testament of having had that happen, but also overcoming it. But did you have a second and third plan? Will you put all the chips on being an MLB or an NFL football, professional baseball player?
Well, I think at 18, come from where I come from, if you're not around those types of people that really put that into your DNA, you don't really think about that, because that means, otherwise that means you're thinking of negative.
Right.
That's what we think of as, okay, if you're thinking that way, you're being negative. So it was always, okay, I'm going to do this. And quite honestly, I tell people now, after just kind of reading about Kobe Bryant after his death and how he worked and everything, I tell people, man, I didn't make it because of injury. I didn't make it because I just didn't work hard. When you hear about guys like that worked, that you'd never – I never struggled in football, basketball, baseball. So those were easy. So learning a work ethic it takes to really make it to the top level. If you don't have somebody there guiding you the right direction and how to do it, then you don't know what to do. I was an avid weightlifter, and back then when baseball was going on, they didn't want you to lift weights. So you stop lifting weights, and you're not thinking that, hey, your body's going to break down because you're not keeping it strong. And I believe that's what started to happen to me. And so that second plan, I had one as far as going back to school. I had an opportunity to go back to Oklahoma to play football. And that's the one regret I have in my life, that I didn't take that opportunity to do that. I talked myself out of, every reason why I couldn't do it, instead of just going back and getting it done. And knowing that, hey, even if I don't make it to the NFL, I'm going to get that 4-year degree. And at the time, you don't really realize how much that paper means in the real world, So I think that's one of my regrets, is not going back to school to play football. and being able to get that education.
So, man, I mean, that's tremendous. But I guess, you know, all things happen for a reason, because I think if you didn't have that experience, one, we would have never met. Two, you would have impacted so many young kids in our community, you know, Black kids, Hispanic kids, white kids. I mean, man, you do an amazing job. And just to give people a little backdrop real quickly, how we met. I mean, we actually met, I think it was like 8 years ago when Rodney was about 8 or 7 years old. And you were working for our past friend, Coach Dennis Carter, with the Texans organization, and I was a client of you guys, and I just, you know, took to like a duck out of water, because I also played baseball, which a lot of people don't know is my love for baseball. And I played college nowhere near at your level, but I did play for a championship institution at Wisconsin, Oshkosh, and kind of like what you said, I took my talent for granted, and I basically just blew it. So like you, I do have a regret that I didn't put the work in, because I partied my way out of my first college and I didn't go back. So with that said, what prompted you to get into actually coaching, and coaching at a young level? Because you not only coached my oldest son, Rodney, at 9, 10 years of age when he first played with you, but you also coached my son, Christian, when Christian was like 7 years of age, man. So what prompted that, and what gave you the passion? Because I really believe that's your calling, man, because you do such a great job at it.
Well, and I'm going to tell you what's a crazy thing is, you know, when you play baseball, they have we have chapel on Sunday where they'll bring in somebody and you know, talk to you about God and stuff. And in my, you know, my dad's a pastor and stuff, so I grew up in the church, and you know, most of the time you have somebody just come in and teach you a lesson and go on. And we had a Black preacher come in one time, and his message was talking about the limelight, the lights, the glory. It's not for everybody. And when he started speaking, man, it really spoke to me at that time in my spirit that, okay, you know, maybe I'm the one that this is not really for me. And really looking back now, I think if I would have succeeded in that arena, man, I probably would have been an alcoholic. I probably wouldn't have been married. I mean, just where I was. I mean, so when I got out of playing, and, you know, you get through the regret of not making it and all of that stuff, then that was my thought was, okay, I want to be able to impact some youth, that the knowledge that I learned from not making it, if I can impart it into them and help them fulfill their dreams. Everybody's not going to do that, but if I can come across some people that have the desire, the ability, and the work ethic, that I can, you know, help them get there. And so when I got that in my head, I started working with kids, and have been fortunate enough to work with a couple guys that had the ability and the work ethic and had the total package to be able to help them fulfill their dreams.
Man, that's amazing. Because I also look at it as a ministry, because I notice a lot of kids in your program, Willie, come from single parent homes. And I think that's because of what you originally came from. I originally came from a single parent home myself. Can you talk to that, the mentorship that you actually share with these young Black males, these young Latino males, and these young, you know, Caucasian kids? Because I know for a fact, as good as you are as a coach, you could be coaching on the MLB level. And that's not to pat you on the back, because I've been in baseball a long time. I'm a student of the game. I read everything up and down about the history of the game. And I know for a fact, we talked a couple of times why you don't go out to the other more affluent communities, because I think your ministry and your calling is right here to serve in the community that's underserved and teaching those lessons of life. So can you talk to that a little bit and tell the value and the joy you get out of doing that?
Yeah, well, actually, you know, I pastored for about a year or so. And so while pastoring, man, I kind of got into the point, and God spoke to me, is, look, you need to minister to these kids. And so I got out of that, and that's what I look at now, is my ministry is being able to affect these youth, especially when, you know, 99% of them is not going to play in the major leagues. But all of them can go to college. All of them can do what I wanted I should have done, and that's value education. All of them can do that. So now that's part of my ministry. And also, man, I think it's important as a Black man, to be able to show other kids of all races that, man, how to be respectful, how to be accountable, and see somebody that's like that, that they can have an appreciation for another black person, because they look at me and say, well, man, I know my coach, you know, if they look up to me and I can pour into them, then they're going to look at other black people differently than other people will, because they're going to know a genuine person that cares about them, and they're going to understand that, hey, it doesn't matter what color you are. Hey, I care about you, you care about me. And so I think that's a big ministry that I try to get across within my organization there. And so, yeah, I think it's a big part of me being able to accept that. And I don't try to look to go out to that affluent area and do those things, man, because I'm going to tell you, a couple of years ago, man, I had a 13 major team, and it probably was the worst experience I had. I couldn't wait to get back to the kids I coached. I mean,
I remember that. You talking about the one that you end up terminating the season?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was just the worst thing, man. These people, you know, the way they was thinking, and, you know, they know everything, and you can't tell their kids nothing because they can't tell them nothing. And, you know, it was like a bad experience, and we were winning. I mean,
yeah, that was a beast of a team.
Yeah, we won a lot, and, man, it was a bad feeling. And when we went to the World Series, we ended up making it to the semifinals, and we lost because, you know, kids were trying to do their own thing. And, man, I'm not a quitter. And I've always known that if you quit one thing, then it's easy to start quitting other things. But during that World Series there, I wanted to quit. I was like, this ain't for me. I need kids that blue collar, man. They want to work. You know, they not out here thinking they know everything. They want to listen and go. And so, man, I love the kids and the parents that come into my organization. What I do, it's not for everybody. How I approach things, it's not for everybody. And I had an old coach of mine tell me, man, don't change how you do things. The people that is for you and your organization, you know, they'll find you. And so I just be me, man. I'm hard on kids, but they learn that I'm hard on them because they know I believe that they have something in them. You know, I had a student, you know, Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his mom sent me something that he had to write some about somebody, and he wrote about me.
Oh, wow.
He said that because I believe in him and I see the ability in him, and that's what he wrote about. And so that means a lot to me, that you can get on kids and push them and go, but they realize that you're not just picking on them, but that you see the potential they have in them, and that you want them to get everything out. And you know me, I want every kid to be successful. I mean, from the weakest link, which that's probably the kid I try to push more and spend more time with, but I want every one of my kids to be successful. And you had a lot of influence on that, me pushing that, even with my own. You know, my son, he's still playing. My middle son, he's still playing. And one of the things I tell him is like, look, man, right now, I don't, you know, if you made it to the big leagues and didn't graduate college, I wouldn't be happy. I want you to graduate college because I know that that's going to benefit you long term more than that. So I think getting to know you and how you are with your kids and the educational side, you know, I really try to make sure now my kids understand that, not only just by what I went through, and know that I'm a better baseball coach at the people that I sit at the same school with, but they literally make $30,000 or $40,000 more than me because they have a piece of paper that said they went to school and they got an education in something, but they're not very good baseball coaches. So that motivates me to just keep going on with these kids and put it in and let them know how important that is.
Man, you know, dude, I mean, you said a mouthful, so I might want to just break down a little bit of it step by step. One, baseball is a privileged sport now. I don't think it was a privileged sport when you and I came up. You know, I remember getting my first Hank Aaron glove, the 715 or 756 or whatever it was, and had my 1 or 2 bats, and that was it. You go out and play. I didn't know any idea what select baseball was, travel baseball. I played my little league, Roseland Little League, and I was happy to make the all-star team, and that's all I knew, getting towards Williamsport. I came out here to Texas, man, and they started talking about this travel baseball, this, that, and other, and I'm like, man, dude, one, that's expensive, first and foremost. So it separates people from able to play the sport anymore just for the price, yet alone the fact that the numbers in the black community have diminished. I mean, when I was growing up, man, it was like 25, 35% black professional players in Major League Baseball. And people probably think I'm smoking crack, but it was the #1 sport in America when I was in my teens and in college. Everybody wanted to be a baseball player.
Well, here's what I was on a podcast and they asked me about that. And I told them, in my opinion, it's because a lack of fathers in the home. Because your father grew up loving baseball, or the grandfather grew up loving baseball, and they showed that into you. You know, you seen them, they took you to games, and you seen them watching it on TV and that stuff, and they played catch with you and all that stuff. And I think it now, when there's a lack of fathers, I think you see that translate to baseball, because, I mean, it's hard to say, you know, moms are going to just – there's a lot of them that do love baseball, but to be able to go play catch and do those things, yeah, mothers can do that, but to me, that's a father-son thing. I mean, I might be sexist in saying that, but I think that's a father-son thing. I think as a son, that's what you look forward to doing with your father, not necessarily your mom. If your mom's there, okay, but you look forward to doing that type of stuff with your father. So I really think that's the biggest problem, and I think there's a lot of well-meaning people that's trying to take up that role, but there needs to be a lot more in order to get those numbers back up, that we have to have males, black males that are in the community that are trying to get these kids to play more baseball.
Yeah, you know what, I agree, because I mean, we just love playing catch with Rodney and Christian. Tell us the name of your organization and tell us some of the accomplishments you're proud of, because that 13-year-old team was that team right before Rodney's team. So I remember that vividly. When y'all came back, you were mad, and you basically just shut the whole organization down, and you started fresh with Rodney's team. I think that was the 10 or the 11U team, and you were like, we're not doing this no more, we're getting this. And one thing I always liked about you, man, it was the work ethic. We come in, we get that work in, and every aspect of the game, the strengthening, the conditioning, the running, and not the fact that chasing trophies, which you never did while we were with your organization, and everybody else was out there chasing those trophies and weren't developing. So tell us the name of your organization, tell us where you're located at, and tell us where you guys are right now and what you're excited about, Willie.
Well, my program is called Rising Star Baseball Academy. I've been there. There you go. Is that the one that says the ground before the shine on the back?
Yep.
Yeah. That was the original. I mean, when I decided, hey man, this is how we gonna put in work. I mean, we're gonna put in work.
Oh yeah, we put in work, baby.
Yeah, it's gonna put in work, man. And because you know, I think more than anything, putting in the work in baseball leads to understand that I gotta put in work in every part of my life if I want to be the best at whatever. If you go into whatever school or whatever, hey man, go in and put the work in. So we use that motto, the grind before the shine, and you know, we're growing. You know, I try to grow at my own pace because everybody doesn't have the same mindset that you have. So I'm kind of getting into some things, and actually some things that you shared with me.
Some tips. Let me hit them nuggets.
You know, I'm stubborn and I'm bullheaded, but I don't forget. I listen and I take in stuff. You know, so a lot of stuff that you told me, you know, I had to take it in, and then I started trying to implement those things. You know, you gave me the idea about people having to buy equipment.
Running a business, right? I said, Willie, you ain't no need for you to be broke. You can run a business because they're going to go get that stuff from somewhere else, but you the one tell them they need it. So why you teeing it up for somebody else when you put the work in? You should reap the rewards.
Man, so I started implementing that, you know, with uniforms, batting gloves. I'm getting into getting batting gloves for organizations and stuff now. I got into that. Doing World Series pins.
I remember you told me about that.
Yeah, I started.
That's big business.
I started getting into doing that. You know, and still learning, you know, some of the things you told me about just trying to make income from, you know, see a need, make some income. And so I started really trying to do that and implement that, man. And our organization's growing right now, coming up. We have, let's see, I have a 10U team, a 9U team, a 10U team, and a 14U team. The 14U team I've been having since they were 9 going on 10.
That's when Christian started with you at 7.
Yeah, that's when he started there, and they've come a long way, man. That's the one team that I mean, I've had teams in the past. I've been doing this since 1996.
Wow.
But to have a group that will go from 9 years old all the way up through high school, this is basically the very first one. And so you know, we've been through the ups and downs.
Man,
we those kids have learned a lot, and I still have probably seven of the 10 or 11 kids that were on that team. They're still here. And man,
hey, I'm gonna interrupt. I got something for you. Our first trophy. You remember this? Hidalgo Park.
Hey, that's I got that on my screensaver. With you and
man.
Yeah, I got it. That's a reminder where we came from, man. In Hidalgo Park, grinding it out.
Man, we were grinding.
Yeah, and winning that tournament when everybody.
Oh man, let's talk about that for a second, because we were playing against the big old kids and us little scrappers, and they just thought they were gonna put a beat down on us. It was kind of like Debo coming off Friday and thought they had us, but we just, man, here's the thing I like about you, man. You play so cerebral baseball that we don't get credit as black baseball players, that we focus on our talent more so than the craft and the cerebral part. Man, talk to that tournament. I remember it just like it was yesterday. Had the dudes throwing flames against us.
You know, we was playing and we were okay, but we just kept making mistakes. We hadn't really put it together. And so we was playing there, and I knew the guy running the tournament. And, you know, we got down. The other two teams was actually supposed to play each other in the semifinals, and we were supposed to play another team. But the guy, my son overheard the guy telling the other guy, look, y'all going to play Rising Star, and y'all should beat them. We'll play the other team. We'll beat them, and we'll play y'all in the championship game. And, you know, we had been grinding, and they wasn't ready for the heat. And we was grinding, and we was ready for it. And, I mean, I think we that team beat us, you know. I always tell them that they was a little uppity. You know, they beat us in the pool play game, and we played terrible, and they beat us like by 2 or 3 runs. We played terrible. And then we came back in the semifinals, and I think we smashed them.
Oh, dude, we put it on them.
Smashed them, man. And then got into the finals, and the other guys' team, we smashed them too. And man, everybody left there.
Oh, dude,
it was great to see the kids really work that hard. And we had some of the better players wasn't even there.
Nope,
it wasn't. Short about 2 or 3 guys, and y'all stepped up and got it done. And that work ethic kind of has really just kept going till now with those guys. We ended up, man, making it to the Elite 32, which was a great experience for us. We went to Dallas with that team, and we did really well down there, our first World Series.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then we lost to this team that beat us in the semifinals and turn around. You know, back then when we were bad, I always spoke to the kids about making it to the Elite 32. And USSSA, that's what the 32 best teams you have to win to get a seat there. And, man, I always try to speak that into them about we had an opportunity to do that when we were a bad AA team. and we had to work to get to be a major team and beat good major teams. And it came full circle. We went down in the fall. We went down to Portland to the Valley to play and really didn't even think about it, but we ended up beating the same team that beat us in Dallas that knocked it out. We came back around and beat them in a dramatic fashion, man, at the end of the game to, I always say to step into our destiny. Because when we were talking about it at 10 and being bad and getting killed, to now at 14 being able to step into that destiny and say, hey, you did it. We did it. People say you can't do it without going out trying to recruit better players. We didn't do that. We just worked. And, we started out with a few pitchers. Now on that team, we got 11 players. You have 11 or 12 players, I think. I got 10 of them that pitch.
Okay.
So we've grinded it out, and we got there, man. So it's been a blessing to see that happen.
Oh, man, I tell you, man, that was one of the toughest decisions that we had to make because you guys are not around the corner from us. You guys are like 50 miles from our house, having 4 children. It was tough for us to pull back to take that hour-and-a-half drive out there all the time because we were getting everything we needed. Our cup was overfilled, but I couldn't spread them between my other children. We had to make a collective decision for the family, not just for Christian, to come out and play out in our backyard versus driving all the way across town with you guys. But obviously, we always followed you guys. So what is something that we can help out with the organization? Where you guys located at that we can put information out here? Because, I mean, we can't do justice by just interviewing you once. I think we need to do a part 2, a part 3, and part 4 because, I mean, we haven't even touched the surface of how we actually work together. And when you came out here, done some stuff, told me how to run a baseball organization, which got me passionate about actually doing baseball as a coach and to just what I love to do. And I remember you told me, hey, Dale, man, if you just go out there, you put these basics in place, and in this market between this age, there's a gap there that you can fill with a passion if you get the structure. And I started doing exactly what you told me in terms of putting training sessions together. I started out, charging like $15 for it. Not that I need the money, but you say, hey, man, you could book 5, training sessions together with people, get them locked in, be committed, do these little kind of like the workshop that we did where you come across town, highlight some of the stuff, and then say, hey, let's, coach you if you want to be coached on the development side, not focus on that. And since that time, Willie, I'm actually in my 7th year of doing the D-Quad program out here in my backyard in Sugar Land. And, man, I couldn't be more thrilled about doing it because it's just a way for me to relax and relate to the kids, which you do an extremely good job at. So imparting, where are you guys located at? What's your website? What are you guys excited about going into high school? And what are some things that we should, focus on in terms of the life lessons that baseball has taught you and has taught me?
Well, we're at 9690 Alameda Genoa Road, Suite 307. We've been there for going on 3 years now. I've been blessed to have pretty good setup there. We got indoor facility with 2 cages, a weight room, and then outside we have a big open area that we can use, 2 sets of fields. So we've been blessed to have that. We also right now, I'm getting involved with a program called Evolve 1423. It's a 501c program that we're kind of, I'm going to speak 2 separate entities. I have mine, but we're going to partner with them also. And we're going to start doing a little bit more AAU baseball. We don't have AAU baseball down here, so it's a need for it. And I just talked to a guy the other day, today, matter of fact, about setting some stuff up to bring AAU baseball here to Houston area a little bit more prominent than it is. It's not here really at all. So we're bringing that there. Best way to look us up is go on our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page, Rising Star Baseball Academy. We have a Facebook page there. We do a lot of our stuff off of there. And we're getting ready to do our real website once we get all the AAU stuff together and get that going. And, man, as far as help, I always tell people, man, whatever God put on your heart to do, man, do. I don't I'm a modest person. I don't really look to ask anybody for anything. I just feel like whatever God we need, God's gonna lay it on somebody's heart. And there'll be a blessing to our organization. With the Evolve, we're gonna do a little bit more camps and stuff within some of the inner city programs. We're gonna really target that demographic. I'm in the process of putting together a younger team with mostly African American kids on there, and to really put that together, start going at that. So that's what we are right now, and we're just trying to keep what we have and keep growing it and keep affecting kids in a positive way. And I think, we always heard kids are our future, and we really need that, especially now with everything is going on
Oh yeah.
in the world. Especially what's going on right now. I think the life lessons that I try to teach kids using baseball is just, look, we're all one team. We all know that we have differences, and we can joke with each other about just being different. We're different, we don't all think alike, but we can all be one team.
Right.
Some of us have more money than the other, but we're all one. We're all equal when we come out here. There's no, you got more money than me, so you can do this. No, we're all the same, and try to build a family like that. And I think that's a big life lesson that we have to get back to teaching kids, that whether you're rich, poor, white, black, whatever, that we can all work together. We can all find some common ground, and we can work together to accomplish a great goal. Hard work. That's one of the things that I know translates from baseball to any area of life. It's hard work. Being coachable is one thing that translates to every part of your life. And to me, not only coachable, but who's coaching you, and not getting your feelings hurt because somebody don't coach you like the next person. To learn how to separate the delivery from the message, because sometimes kids get caught up in how you deliver a message and they don't take in the message. So it's just like being on a job. If a boss is direct with you, you get mad because he's direct with you. You miss the message and what he's trying to tell you. And then you start getting passed over because you're not listening and you're not making the necessary adjustment. So all those things I think is important when it comes to baseball and life, and the lessons that's learned and the lessons I've learned is, for me, another thing I try to teach kids, which I learned this in pro ball, and it was probably the best advice I ever got, is when somebody's teaching, even if you are an outfielder, and you can go listen to the infield coach teach infield, and you can learn something, go stand there and learn it. Don't waste your time. Sit there and learn something. Listen to the pitchers, the pitching coach talk to the pitchers, and learn something about that. And I took that advice, and it really helped me become a better coach. And I think now, if you're telling kids can get that lesson, is don't think you know it all. Always look to learn something from somebody. And I'm gonna say this, Derek, and DJ, we bumped heads a lot and everything. And I would have to call you, and I told you later, I said, hey man, don't think that I didn't listen to what you said. I might have not agreed with it then, but I'm smart enough to know that you're smart and what you do, you're good at what you do. So I gotta listen, even though I might not agree with it then. I sit back and I pondered on it, and I listened and I took it in, and then I started implementing. And I think that's a good lesson kids have to learn. You might not like all the time what people telling you and how, but you got to step back, take it in, and say, okay, he was right. Ego comes into play. You got to say, okay, he was right, and make the adjustment so you can be more successful in your life.
Man, you know what? Hey man, I thank you for that. And the same thing I learned that even when we disagreed, but we shared the same principles. And I think that's what enabled us to remain friends. And I think you don't know anybody till you get in a disagreement with them. But if you share the same principles, you can come back together and be even tighter from that experience. So I want to do something real quickly. I'm going to share my screen and just take you back down history lane here, man. Some stuff that you probably think I got a little video. I just want to show you how great of a coach you are. So, Nick, I think I can just share my screen, right, Nick?
Because you was always videoing and taking pictures and stuff. So
hey, I'm a student, baby. I'm a student. I'm just doing what you said. So I'm gonna share my screen real quickly. Can you allow me to share my screen, Nick?
Yes, right. There it is.
Okay, so I just want to show you how great of a coach this guy is. He's phenomenal, to tell you the truth. So right here is just a quick snippet here, guys. Let me see it.
Like by now, as much as you hear me say, you should be a lot better at finishing here. Because you should be practicing on right here. You should be practicing on finishing. Start with your chin on this shoulder, finishing with your chin on this shoulder, finishing with that back right here, and heel up in the air. You should be practicing that every day. So that should be something that I shouldn't have to tell anybody.
Every day. Then check this one out. You guys saw that?
All you're doing is catching. Okay? Go that way. This way on here, catch. Okay? Not push, just catch. Got it?
Cool. So I had to take my screen share. Then one last thing. Coach Ansley has a foundation that he's very passionate about. Coach Ansley, can you tell him about your Big Brother program that you drew me into? And man, this is the thing that really tugged at my heart and maybe we not only respect you, but come to love you as a strong leader in the community. Can you talk a little bit to that program that we're talking about that every April that you support? Man, and it's amazing. Can you touch base on that? I want to wrap it up with that.
Okay, well, I got involved in the school, working in the autism part of the school. Different schools have different names for it. Omega program is one. But I started to work in there, and, man, when I got to meet the kids, it just changed how I looked at things, man. And I seen a lot of the love that the kids have towards each other. I mean, it's just a great thing to be a part of. And so I try to mentor and connect kids with, get them to connect with autistic kids within their schools, to be a big brother to them, spend some time with them, because I think it teaches them a lot of things about life. And we've been kind of growing that gradually. Now I'm doing autistic awareness baseball camps that we started to do last summer. We started doing that, and I've talked to some of them now. We're going to start doing it once a month. Try to get that in with them, and it's something close to my heart. I don't work in that field anymore, but it's something that I want to stay connected with, because I think it's needed in this day and time. They say the numbers are growing, and so it's something that I think kids can be a part of. I got my kids involved in Special Olympics when they were young, and it really made a difference. I seen when they went to school, and I would encourage any parent, if you have a young kid, get them involved in Special Olympics and allow them to go and help those kids, because I think when they get to school, they naturally gravitate to those kids, and they become their big brother. They become a lookout for them. They look out. My kids looked out for kids who were autistic in school. They didn't let them be bullied. They looked out for them. So I think that's a great organization to get into, and we want to keep growing ours with our autism awareness program. that we're pushing now.
Man, that's amazing. Can I share my screen one more time? I'm gonna just show you how this guy's been committed to this. Share my screen one more time, Nick.
You have to go down to the bottom and click on share screen.
Okay.
You're close now.
All right. So can you guys see this?
Oh, there it goes.
You see that?
Yeah.
That take us back, don't it? That's when you had your third one. And here's the thing, I was happy to do the sponsorships for the program and go out there. And that's one of the times we kind of was like, Willie, this is what you got to do, baby.
Yeah.
Bring that money in for this great cause.
Yeah.
And then we did this. See, going back to 2015. So I mean, that's when I knew, man, you were the real deal, because these other programs, they all about getting the money, and you're not about that. So my nephew has Down syndrome, and we've been involved in Special Olympics for over 25 years. So for me, that meant a lot, man. So I want to take my hats off to you in that regard, Willie, again, because, hey, man, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Nick, what did you learn from this awesome interview? And we're going to have Coach Willie back again. But what did you learn, Nick?
Well, I played baseball between the ages of 7 and 13. So this conversation definitely resonates with me, and it's nostalgic also. And the second thing that I learned was that Coach Ansley is a skilled and expert baseball coach, but he teaches more than just baseball. He is developing our boys into being productive and honorable young men by teaching them respect and accountability. So, Coach, thank you for your contributions to your community.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that, man.
Hey, Willie, give us 15 seconds, and again, tell us where you are. Tell us what you're excited about, 15 seconds, and then I'm going to wrap it up. And I want to thank you again for taking your time out of your weekend to share on this interview expert series program with us.
Yes, sir. We at 9690 Alameda Genoa Road, Suite 307. That's on the southeast side of town, 45 South in Alameda Genoa. We're right there off the freeway. Man, I'm excited about just baseball, kids. Man, I'm excited about the AAU program that we're starting. I'm excited about our autistic awareness baseball camps that we're going. Man, I'm excited about what God is doing. I'm excited about having the opportunity to go to Florida, man, and step in our destiny, because God opened it up for us to get there. And I'm just excited to see what he has for when we get there. We're trying to prepare, and I tell people that's all you can believe. If you believe you're in destiny to do something, you have to prepare for that moment. And if you prepare for it and God opens the door, you step right into it. So I'm excited about the possibilities of what we got going on down there in Florida, July 5th through the 11th.
Oh, man, that is awesome. Hey, guys, before we jump out of here, it's always the same thing. And what I want to show you, these championship rings, I've got one or two with Willie. And really, you know, success is a team sport at the end of the day. It's a team sport. There's no individuals in success, because everybody has to have a team around them. Willie's got a great team. We got a great team. So I want to part this way as I always do. I'm willing to wish everybody a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money, peace of mind. And I want you to come join us on the Diamonds, baseball diamonds of the world, because we too have played a championship in Destin, Florida. Was fortunate to do it with Rodney and with Christian, which just made something that we have memories for the rest of our life, and had fun on the beaches after we went out there and went to war and won them championships. So if you like this video, guys, you know, subscribe in the link below, share it and like it, and you'll have more of these expert series with DJ the Money Coach. And again, I want to wish you well. I want to wish you happiness and prosperity. This is DJ the Money Coach. Thank you, Willie Ansley. Thank you, Nick. And we'll see you on the Diamonds of the World. I'm out. Peace.
Appreciate it.